Gold Rush Custom Q made by Mr. Kevin McClain. Kevin McClain goes by Gold Rush Qs. There's Kevin's signature right there in the forearm. I have sold over the years a handful of Gold Rushes, and I am definitely a fan of Kevin's work. The playability is always really good. I'll tell you a couple things that I particularly like about Kevin's Qs. He uses a nice standard size handle. A lot of these guys are getting into these really thin handles, and there's nothing wrong with that if you like a real slim handle. Now, I don't like an old school Q that feels like a baseball bat in my hand, so let me give you my definition of a standard size Q. If you measure the middle of the wrap, and by the way, that is a genuine high quality Roo Wrap right there. Now there's different types of Roo, okay? Some of them will be real smooth. That's the back of it. This is the outer part that has the texture to it. It has a really nice, soft feel to it when you grip it, but it really is nice for grip. Your hand doesn't slide. I love these wraps. You don't see them real often, and this one lays perfect on the Q. But anyway, what I define for my personal preference, because what I want all of you to always remember, everything when it comes to a Q, right? The size of the butt preference, the weight, the balance, it's all subjective. I might like one thing and you might not like another. So when you're buying something from somebody online, even though I'm extremely reputable, we always like to try to give our best description, and I try to give you my perspective. So when I measure in inches, okay, and you get yourself a set of calipers, measure in inches, what I like is like a 1.14, 1.15 mid-wrap. And then the other thing that you can always tell if it's a standard size Q or, a thinner handle, if you measure right above the butt cap, the majority of the standard size Qs are going to be 1.24 or 1.25. When you start getting into like 1.26, 1.27 and on, some of the older Qs could even be 1.30 or 130 at the back, they say, right? So that is my assessment of that. Some of the guys that are doing these thinner Qs are going to be like 1.22 or 1.23 at the back of the Q. Not my style, but a lot of people like them and they sell really well. But back to this Gold Rush Q. This is actually in like new condition. It's only had test hits, okay? Only had test hits. A gentleman bought it directly from Kevin McClain at Gold Rush. He only chalked the shafts and took test hits. He is not able to play, so we were able to purchase this Q. And this is really a lot of Q for the money. When you look at that premium wrap and you look at the inlay work and the wood that's in this, okay, it's called Chechen. That's Chechen. Chechen is referred to as Caribbean rosewood. Although, if you do your research, it's not actually a rosewood, but they call it Caribbean rosewood. Now, this wood is rated as very durable. I've seen this wood used before in Qs. I can tell that it's definitely a lighter wood. The butt weight on this Q, and I'm assuming that he does core, yes, I believe he does, okay, is 14.5. So for those of you that like a lighter butt, by the way, these shafts are actually 4.5. So it's lighter butt, heavier shafts. You can do the math and see what it's going to add up to, right? So some guys like the Q to be forward weighted. You could easily take down the shafts if you wanted them to be lighter, or you could add weight to the butt if you wanted it to be heavier. This is a 3/810 modified pin. Great looking material right there. Maybe one of you Q makers out there that follow our business, tell me what this material is, because I don't know. I've seen it before. I've seen like a burgundy. I believe that's some type of a phenolic, but I'm not sure what that is at the joint right there. Maybe one of you Q makers can comment here on YouTube or in the Facebook. It's really cool. It has like an orangish color to it, and I think it really complements the wood in the Q. This is also Chechen on the butt sleeve area here. And then these inlays that kind of favor crosses, you guys know that I love those. We're all about the cross at Crossroad Q's. But it looks like he's got the Chechen on the outside, and then, of course, ebony on the inside. Ebony beauty ring or deco ring, and then again, this is kind of an orangish type color right there. And it's slipping my tongue what that stuff is called right now. But again, it is a non-natural material, so there's no problem as far as shipping goes anywhere in the country. How about that wrap, though? Let me give you a close-up on that. Again, like new condition, there's no dents, there's no dings. Everything is perfect condition and ready to go. The shafts are coming up at 4.5 ounce, standard size Q, by the way, 58 inches, 13.15. Again, for those of you that don't want a really a big shaft or a full-size shaft, I've had comments on my videos before where people say, why don't you get some stuff that doesn't have those baseball bat shafts? Well, again, that's subjective. It's all personal preference. I like a 13 millimeter shaft or even at least a 12.9, and it depends on the taper. This is like a thicker taper, right? So it's more of a conical taper. It's not what I consider to be like a pro taper, like a real long taper, okay? But that's something, again, that you could easily have changed, have altered, or if you're like me, put your dark roasted Keelwood shaft or your carbon fiber on that 3/8-10 modified and play jam up. Gold Rush Q, available at crossroadqs.com.